the first thing I want to do is talk about data, where to find it, how to get it, that kind of thing. I would suggest always using Chrome or Firefox. Internet Explorer, it's kind of a dinosaur. It tends to get messed up in some of the more complicated viewers that we'll use. For main GIS, their kind of interactive GIS data download page, that doesn't really require anything else, but it's a good habit to get, use the most recent version you can get of Chrome or Firefox. They're very good browsers. So for the main data, I just Googled, of course, main GIS data. And in general, I might just, when we find data, I'm going to tell you what to Google and which link to find, so we don't have to spell out, URLs, which of course are the address online. But there is the address if you want to do that instead of Google search. Main Office of GIS Data Catalog. We're going to be spending a lot of time in here. I will try to diversify other data sources so we can learn more, but this is a pretty good one. And it's a lot of information. It's kind of overwhelming. This particular data catalog uses, pretty good icons here. These are pretty standard icons. The Google Earth icon means that you could download a KML file, so you could just look at it straight in Google Earth. The shapefile right here, this is what we're going to be looking at most of the time. The raster file, this means that it's probably going to be a TIFF, hopefully. And metadata, this means that if you want to know where this data came from, right? Oh, county boundaries. Clearly this is when it was last updated in January of 2014. Before I download it, I'm curious. I look at the metadata, and this is great. They do a good job. They've given us some, they give us some kind of literature if we're curious about what's going on. It tells us what scale is appropriate a little bit. Gives us a little bit of we can kind of start to see what attributes are going to be in here, what coordinate system, who to contact if we're curious about this data, or these data, I should say. So metadata just means data about the data. Where did it come from? Who made it? That's really important. So for our tutorial, I only want you to download 3 pieces of data. One is a raster file, and it's the land cover for Maine. So you might just search it if you don't want to find it by scrolling. So I went Control F, or that'd be Command F on a Mac. And I would just type in land cover. Okay, brought us down to this area. There's the raster file right there. And if I had not used space, I guess it would have found it right away. Land cover. And it's the main land cover data set 2004. So it's a little old, 10 years old. But that's okay. We're going to use it. For our purposes, we should know this is 10 years old, 11 even, and that potentially some of the information we're using is out of date. So, be conscious of that. So when you download that, that's a big file. Make sure you have a good internet connection. So go ahead and download that. We're also going to use the county file, and there are 9 examples. We're going to use the first one, county boundaries, download that, and we're also going to use the town boundaries, which is kind of abbreviated as Maine TWP Township 24. So download that. This was updated in 2015. It's great. In July, this past July. So we're going to use those 2, and that's probably all we're going to use today. Go ahead and get the conserved lands as well. We'll be using that in the extended tutorial if you're curious. So conserved lands, you can go ahead and download that as well if you want. So 3 shape files and 1 raster file. And once you download them, and you get them from your downloads page, and you get those straight into a new folder on your desktop that you're going to call Tutorial 1. Some of them might be zipped. Now, what does zipped mean? Well, zipped just means that this is a lot of information, so they've tried to package it so that it'll download faster. It's compressed. It's kind of all packaged up. So if you can't unzip this and you don't know how, usually you can right-click or control-click, and there'll be an option to kind of extract the zipped file. You can say extract here, and it will do it in the folder you're in, or you can say extract files, and it will say, oh, where do you want to put these files that I'm going to extract from the zipped file? If you don't have a program already, for Windows 7-zip is a good program. And again, you can just go and before you try to extract anything, just Google 7-zip. It's free. It's pretty good. Go ahead and just download the exe, the executable file. And you can just double-click that, and it will install in very little time. It's a good program. Or if you want, you can just double-click one of these, and you go into the zip file and see what's there. And you can always just select everything. Let's see if it's going to let me do that. Yep. And either cut or copy, and then come back out and say paste. And you can see that, oh wow, 251 megabytes. How much space did they save by zipping it? Well, it looks like this is 128,000 kilobytes, which is 128 megabytes. 1,000 kilobytes is a megabyte. So they saved 130 megabytes by zipping it. Whoop-de-doo. But that's not bad. They're going to zip a lot of files online. So cool. So here's my unzipped main LAN cover here. And isn't that great? Now, there are a lot of files here. Some of them are going to be metadata files. This is a PDF, it looks like, that will tell us. Let's see, what kind is it? It doesn't really say. I think it's a PDF. Adobe Acrobat document. Yeah, that's a PDF. And this will tell us about the accuracy. It looks like there's some metadata about, this is a color. This is probably for color. And this one is for telling us what the numbers are coded and what they mean. So go ahead and unzip all of your files. And once you unzip them, you can get rid of the original compressed file. So I'm going to delete that. I don't need that anymore. And the one last thing I want to show you is that this TIFF file, this is the only data file. Notice how big it is. This is 250 megabytes. This is all there is to the TIFF file that we're going to use. Remember, TIFF is a format of the raster data model, and it has 250 megabytes, 252. The shapefile, which is a vector data model, the shapefile is a format of that vector data model, and there are a whole bundle of files. All of these are going to actually be read as one file in the program. When we open QGIS, we're not going to see all of this. All we're going to see is a shapefile. And you can see that this one also is bigger because this is where all the information is stored for the shape of the object. This PRJ file tells these shapes where they are on the actual Earth. This DBF file tells these shapes what attributes they have. But what you should know is that when you manage this file in Q, all you care about is the .shp because that's all that it's going to see. Okay, so let's go ahead and go to the next video, and we're going to open up QGIS.